YouTube. Today we're going to talk about mounting scopes to a rifle, and a lot of people think this is a very simple process, but it is a lot more involved than a lot of people think it is. And I'm going to show you some of the things that I use to mount a scope to a rifle and give you a couple pointers. Now, YouTube does not allow me to mount a scope on a rifle on camera. They won't let me do it. If they think it's modified in firearm, and they will kick this off and get rid of my channel for it. So this scope is already permanently mounted to this rifle, and I'm going to show you some of the processes that I go through without actually doing it, and maybe this will help some people out. So I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I use here first, and we're going to walk over here, and I'm going to show you that I use a Tipton Ultra gun vise. If you don't have one of these and you have scopes to mount, you're doing it wrong, folks. This thing is the most awesome gun vise you will ever see. It's very versatile, very modifiable, and everything like that. Next thing you're going to need is some type of torque wrench, and I use a 1/4-inch drive torque wrench, and this is just a Harbor Freight special. Next thing you're going to need is some Loctite. I use blue Loctite on all the fasteners when I'm mounting a scope. And next thing you're going to use is a torque wrench screwdriver, a torque screwdriver, where you can set your inch pounds to torque things down with a screwdriver. You're going to need a laser bore sight, and I use the ones that actually go in the chamber instead of the ones that go in the end of the barrel. I think they're a lot more accurate when doing this. And now we're going to walk up here to the gun. I'm going to show you this gun vise is pretty extreme here. It's got little trays underneath it here so you can put your stuff in it, and it actually comes with this center section here for mounting like an AR type style, where you can mount the receiver onto it. We're not using it on this application, but these little trays on the bottom here are really awesome to put your little parts in, your little screws, and every one of these is adjustable. So this thing goes up, down, left, right. You can adjust the jaws in any different way, and you can completely level this gun. So what we're going to do is show you that this rifle needs to be completely level. Now, this isn't a perfect thing here, folks, because I already have this mounted, but I'm just going to show you that the rifle, you need to level the rifle out. I usually use the rail before the scope goes on here and make sure it's level top to bottom. And I just got this level here stuck on the barrel. It's not really the correct way to do it, but make sure that's level, and you tighten these jaws down on it. And then you need to do the side-to-side leveling. And when you do the side-by-side leveling, I have this level here stuck right underneath the rail to make sure that was level. You then attach this clamp-on barrel level to it, tighten it down, and then it's adjustable right here with this, and you use that as a reference point. So the rest of the time that you're mounting your scope, you can always see if that thing's level, because your scope's going to be in the way of your rail when you do it. So then when you get to the actual scope, once you get the rifle completely level, you set your rings onto the Picatinny rail here, and you want to make sure the scope's about centered, somewhat centered between the two rings, so it's evenly holding it down. And you want to be able to slide this thing back and forth and find your correct eye relief. Now, it's going to be different for every single scope. This happens to be a Nightforce 12 to 42 by 56 scope on this particular setup here. But find your correct eye relief. Once you find out where the scope needs to be back and forth here, center the rings on them, and you can torque your rings down. Now, I have to be using the heavy duty extreme 6-bolt Nightforce rings on this particular thing. These are 30mm rings. This is a 30mm scope. Torque these things down to 65 to 75 inch-pounds on the Picatinny rail. Then you want to set your scope inside of it, and you're going to put these rings on top here, and you're going to put a drop of Loctite, blue Loctite, on each one of them, up the screws. Just run them down evenly, very, somewhat just hand tight, and make sure this is evenly gapped on each side of these rings. Don't tighten one side down any more than the other. Once you do that, here's where a lot of people make their mistakes. So these turret caps come on these scopes right here. A lot of people will put this level on top here, and try and level the scope with the top of the turret cap. Well, that's incorrect. This cap can be unlevel. So you want to take the cap off, and you want to use the actual turret as a leveling point. So you want to make sure that's level. You rotate the scope around inside the caps until this is level and it matches your reference point up front here. So once that's done, get that level, you torque these things down to 25 inch-pounds of torque. And what I do is I go 1, 2, do the cross bolt pattern, 5, 6, and then do the back one. And keep doing it little by little until you hit 25 inch-pounds. Once you get that all done, you want to take this and you want to center these turrets completely. So you know how many clicks that it takes to get to exact center. And what I always do is once I center them, I loosen up the turret caps and I put them at 0. So as you can see, it's completely at 0. And I do that for the windage and the elevation. And then the next thing you would do is you would take your laser pointer here and you put that inside the chamber, and you get about I don't know, 25 feet, and you aim at a target, and then you adjust your turrets to the laser beam to line those up. And you do that on a small little 1-foot target. Once you get that done, recenter your turrets back to 0. And the gun should hit paper at 50 yards. I know a lot of people start off at 100. I start off at 50. I hit it. I make sure it's going to hit paper the first time. I adjust it to hit a little high, a couple inches high on bullseye, and then I go out to 100 yards, and it'll do it the first shot then. And it saves you a bunch of ammo. But the most important thing, folks, is to make sure that this gun is completely level when you are mounting this scope on here, and it remains completely level. That's why you use so many different types of levels on it. And make sure you torque everything to complete factory specs of the equipment you're using, and you do it in the proper order that you do it. And these things should make life a lot easier and a lot less frustrating when you're at the range trying to zero in your scope. You can't just bolt a scope onto a rifle willy-nilly and take it out there and expect it to be good to go. It's not going to be good to go, folks, unless everything's done properly. But if you have any questions on the process that I use on mounting a scope, feel free to reach out to me. And thank you very much for watching my video today, and you folks have a great day.